I'm Jackie Miller-Charlton, I'm your host for the series, and I'm excited to be interviewing some exceptionally powerful, inspirational, world-leading women and bring you their stories. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Iron Ladies. Today I'm joined by Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Jackie.
Sarah is partner and head of investments at Ceras Ventures here in the UAE. So, without further ado, Sarah, let's dive right in. May I ask you, where were you born and raised? First up.
So I was born and raised in Germany, in a little town in the northern part of Germany, and I was born to Libyan parents. So yeah,
Wow.
I grew up with German and Libyan culture.
Amazing, amazing. What was it you wanted to do in Germany? What was what did you aspire to when you were a child?
Actually, I was, and I still am a very curious person. So also I remember growing up, I love to discover new places. I love to go into nature. And I also, back then, discovered my passion for music. So I was very active, I was singing, I was dancing. I loved to go into nature and had like field trips. So all these discoveries as a child actually is still reflecting in my adulthood.
Wow. Would you say you were a confident child?
I love to experiment, so I had some sort of confidence, yeah, but I was much more shyer than I am right now. So my confidence evolved within the years. I would
Yeah,
say.
sure. What was your educational journey like? Did you always imagine yourself working in finance, for example?
Funny enough, not really. So back then, my dream as a child was to be a singer. And with time when I was in school, I was in high school, also in Germany. And back then I realized, okay, let me take the safe card and do business studies. So I started after high school to also do my bachelor in Berlin back then in business. But I always knew I need to get out into the world. So since my teenage life, I think it was also because I watched a lot of American movies. Like I'm like, oh, I want to see the world out there. So back then I didn't even think about finance. I just said, okay, business is a safe card just to kick off my career and then see where it goes.
Were you influenced by your parents with regards to studying business, or was that just purely from your own thought process?
Actually, it was for my own thought process because my parents, they wanted to pull me more into the medical field. Like they said, oh, business, anyone can do business. Why don't you do something with science? But I always knew I needed something hands-on. So also the good thing is the undergrad program I did was actually already with the corporate experience. So in Germany, you can do an undergrad where you have 3 months in business school, 3 months in the corporate. So I did that for 3 years. Until now, I'm very glad I did it because I just not only learned, but I was hands-on with the experience, like how does it really work in the corporate world at that time.
I think that's great. What an incredible way to learn. I mean, practical and theory
Exactly.
married together.
Exactly.
You know, I have a funny story, Sarah. It reminds me, my son was studying business many years ago, and he brought his homework home and said, Mum, can you help me with this module? I said, yeah, sure, it's business. Of course I can help you with that module. So, of course, I helped him with the module. And a couple of months later, I said to him, oh, by the way, you never did say how you got on. You know, how did we score? He said, well, I came bottom. I said, what? I came bottom, Mum. That's not possible, I said to him. He said, well, apparently it is. And it made me really think that theory is one thing. Practical is entirely different. Because we may theorize that something works, but when we put it into practice, actually, the circumstances or the environment, it doesn't work and it doesn't fit. So I was really rather cross because obviously I'm not used to coming last. So that's the competitor in me. But I did laugh, and it did make me think. So that's why I think, that approach to studying is really, really good. And did you come across something like that where what you'd learned theoretically didn't necessarily apply when you tried to put it into practice?
Yeah, what I loved, it called dual study program in Germany. So you do it with different corporates. You tap into fields like marketing, controlling, supply chain. So it gave me a first flavor, like, okay, where I'm interested in. So it made it pretty clear for me, okay, if I stay in that area or industry, I would like to tap more into that time. My first touch point was with finance, with supply chain back then. So that was then also the first job I landed in this field. It was a mix of controlling supply chain. So I wanted to tap more into like numbers and see like what is it about.
So interesting. So interesting. So can you walk us through from way back then to where you are now, your career path, and how did you make that monumental leap into becoming a partner? You're still very young to be a partner, and beautiful, of course, but still very young. And I'm thrilled for you because obviously this show is all about supporting and encouraging females who are doing incredible things in their line of work. So Sarah, take us through, what was your journey?
Yeah, so maybe I would start as I was along my journey. Doesn't matter if it was in school, university, or even in corporate life when I started back then. Always when I feel someone or something is trying to limit me or maybe not believe in me, I get even more challenged to prove otherwise. And when you ask, for example, the studies I have chosen, I didn't listen to my parents back then. I was like a kind of rebellion in my family. I'm like, no, I'm doing this because I want to do that. So I went ahead with this, and that was the same when I kicked off my career. I started then in chemical industry, in corporate and finance, supply chain. I moved to Dubai when I just turned 21, and I saw already back then there are a lot of opportunities in Dubai. It was 2015, and I'm like, let me kick off like that corporate route and see where it goes. And I realized with the years that passed, I gained a lot of knowledge, but there were always sometimes, through my journey, like we did a lot of like the diversity inclusion initiative that I did voluntarily on the side. I also changed positions, but I felt like I wanted to do more because for me, although I learned and enjoyed a lot the corporate structure, it was like a system where you taught to be a follower. And although each corporation can promote innovation, but I still faced limitation in that structure, in that system. And where I started to think out of the box was actually in 2018 when I got my first touch point with crypto. I had like friends, some of my guy friends, they were from Lebanon and Turkey. And they told me about, Sarah, we put all our wealth back in our home countries into stable coins, like a digital dollar, and it saved our family wealth because we face so much inflation in our home countries. Then I got hooked on this. I'm like, okay, how come, what is about this cryptocurrency? So I started to tap into trading to learn about it, also with the help of my friends. And I got more excited about that world. And it started in 2015, and back then I was still in corporate. And with time, I'm like, oh, I want to get more into tech, specifically blockchain. And it was so different from where I was at that time. I was in chemical/oil and gas. And it seemed at first impossible to change industries. And then COVID hit. And then COVID, you had this time where you sit with yourself, you reflect. And I had really a deep reflection about what I really want to achieve in my life, what fulfills me, what drives me with purpose. And I realized what I did so far in that career, I didn't reach this fulfillment yet. And there was still this untouched point, this curious points about tech, about blockchain. I'm like, I really want to get into this industry. So I I actually decided, it was also last minute, that I joined an MBA program. It was in University of Manchester, and I did it part-time to my corporate daily work. And they had a track of venture capital, digital assets, blockchain. I'm like, okay, that will be somehow my entry point to change industries. So I started that studies, and little did I know, the people that I will meet there will also transform my life. So when I started, one of my classmates, he became later on also a very, very good friend and business partner as well. We were the only crypto enthusiasts in our cohort. We were the youngest one. I was back then 27 when I did my MBA. We were the youngest one and the only one who believed in crypto. So we always worked together on common projects. He just formed his VC fund that time. And he said, Sarah, you should relate like all your project research on also venture capital. Just tip and try to learn more about VC. Come and look what we are doing as a firm. So I started to do it. It was tough because I still had my corporate work. Then I started to join this VC firm and help them out with a few things. And at night, I still studied for my MBA. So these 2 years were super tough. I sometimes reached my limits, but growing out of that comfort showed me actually what is out there. And this was a moment taking a leap of faith and really getting out of your comfort zone that pushed me that everything you want to do is actually possible. So I realized how much I enjoyed that venture capital space, that industry. I started to learn more about due diligence and different venture capital processes. And then I sat closer to my MBA. I'm like, you know what? It's time to make a change. And after 10 years of being corporate, I resigned. And I said, okay, let me take this risk. I go into a smaller firm, different industry. I need to learn a lot, but I did it back then, 4 years ago. And it was the best decision I ever made, because what seems impossible and so difficult actually became reality. And I followed my instinct, my purpose, my curiosity. And
absolutely. So the pivot to your career was discovering this new technology called blockchain, if you like, which is the foundation of crypto.
Exactly.
So that pivoted you from your old corporate world, which was safe. And as long as you did what you were supposed to do, you could continue to rise, and you would have always risen. I can see the passion in you. But it was safe. This ignited a spark in you, which is called passion. And I see it when you talk about it, and it's wonderful. And I believe, Sarah, that if you are fortunate enough to find a job you love and you're passionate about, it isn't like work at all. You're being paid for a hobby. And I say to all young girls out there, if you can find that, go for it and grab onto it with both hands. Sarah is living proof that we can segue into something entirely different. Incredible, incredible. So for those watching and listening who may not know who Ceras Ventures are, what are they and what do you do?
Yes, so Ceras Venture is an investment firm, and we invest in early stage blockchain and Web3 startups. So early stage is really when the founders, they have their ideas and they have a real use case, how the technology can transform the industry or the way end users get in touch with the technology. And we invest in different sectors, so infrastructure sectors, even we invested in financial products using blockchain, consumer-facing application like gaming, social media application using blockchain. So we're very agnostic because our mission is to create value and to drive mass adoption. That's the reason, besides venture capital and investment activities, we also want to drive adoption with really strong partnerships with governments, with traditional and corporates and also educational institutions. So I've been also involved in some workshops where we teach about the real use case of blockchain in the public sector, in education. We went to high schools. We did also a workshop with kids where we taught about what crypto means, what is blockchain, and how it can change your life. So we realized, even if you invest, okay, it's about profit, but about also purpose and how you realize your mission of adoption, of bringing end users, other corporate players into that ecosystem. And what I'm doing, I'm overseeing the investment process, also having the strategic partnership, overseeing our investor relation. So really having a helicopter view and multiple hats. But so far, it's been an interesting journey. We invested in over 70 startups so far.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that too, because you're giving back to the community. Not only are you investing in the future of business, but you're also giving back to community. You're making these startups' dreams come to life through what I think is an incredible platform, blockchain, because it's transparent. You know when your suppliers are going to be paid. You know how much the contract is worth. You know when the money is due in down the line. There's no secret.
Exactly.
You know, it just puts it all out there, and it's very transparent, which is what I love. So many small businesses in relying on fiat go into liquidation because, unfortunately, they're lied to.
Exactly.
With blockchain, it's all transparent. And that's the bit I love about blockchain. You know, bringing a real transparency to business.
And that's something also what I mentioned back then, like there are really strong use cases out there. The story of my friends back then in 2018, they already secured their family wealth by transferring it all in stable coins. It's like one-to-one pack to digital, like to dollar. It's like literally your digital dollar. And when inflation hit in Lebanon, in Turkey, they are now, till now, still the wealthiest among their community because they did the step in using this currency. So that's, even till now, it's such a strong use case among many others. And this is what I love to see as well, that we see this adoption coming in. But it's very important to educate, to show real applications and use cases for people to be convinced and to trust it.
I mean, crypto's faced a huge amount of skepticism since Bitcoin, you know, since the introduction of Bitcoin. I mean, I remember how many Bitcoin bought the first pizza? It was crazy, you know, something like, I don't know, 200 Bitcoin for one pizza.
Exactly.
Oh man, wish I had that in my wallet now. But you know, it came across so much skepticism. All the major banks, everyone were poo-pooing it. It'll never grow. They were almost saying it was illegal, and of course it wasn't. What's your view on the skepticism that crypto faced in those early days?
It's true that in the history, we faced headlines like crashes of certain exchanges like FTX. There have been some hacks. There are still scammers out there. But with crypto, it's not about having strong returns or that it's highly volatile. It's really about participation. And if we think about it, you mentioned with the Bitcoin pizza days, the Bitcoin prices of 10 years ago and crossing now $100K these days, it's a testament that Bitcoin, crypto, and blockchain is here to stay. And this is something where we have to remember there have been some shadows across our industry, but the same is happening also in the traditional financial industry. And if we see right now how many institutions are coming in, like the largest asset management firms like BlackRock tokenizing their assets on blockchain, also having so many banks, retail shops now accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to pay their bills. Even myself here in the UAE, I pay my internet, my electricity with crypto. So what we have now available shows already that this technology is here to stay, that more and more players and end users are coming in. So besides all the headlines we had, with every cycle in the crypto as well in the markets, we learning and we evolving. And that's why I believe also this year it's a very institutional year of Bitcoin, yeah.
Well, we have a bull run, don't we?
Exactly.
You know, we're about to start a bull run. Some would say later than what would have been predicted, because we've had such a bumpy ride since the change of administration with the American government. And of course, you know, that's due largely, I think, to the tariffs and the uncertainty surrounding business. But again, as a businesswoman, I understand that, you know, the interest rates in the United States are crazy, and the current administration are trying to do something about that, and so that, you know, they can bring the cost of that borrowing down so they can invest back into their country. Hey, look, to me, it makes a lot of sense. For some, it doesn't. However, the markets are reflecting that. But what's really fascinating to me is crypto doesn't necessarily follow the stock market, and it has its own independence and its own way of doing its own thing, if you like. And in a bull run, what can we expect, for example? What do you feel we're going to see from this current bull run through to, say, the end of 25?
I think now what's exciting, we see more institutions, more governments coming in. There have been a lot of headlines of governments are pushing more into Bitcoin reserves. It doesn't matter if it's in Asia, in Middle East, in Europe, or in America. So I think that's a very big sign of bringing more trust into the space. So we have the governments, the institutional players, then we have the end consumers. So even now with the bull run, it brings more credibility, and also that more newcomers will come into the space, new end users. And I think it's super great to see that now the space is evolving. But what is very important, I think we have to keep in mind, it's crypto, as you said, unlike traditional stock, it's 24/7, it's accessible, it's global, and it's about really having such a strong cross-border transaction. I mean, within a few seconds, you can send money from someone here in the UAE to Mexico, and the transactions fee are much smaller. That's why I want to get back to this use cases. I think now it's a testament. Always when there's a bull run, people will talk more about crypto. So it's always important to highlight there's a very strong substance on, especially if it comes to payment. The stablecoin narrative will be also a very big topic. And tokenizing assets, for instance, tokenizing real estate, having fractional ownership of maybe a real estate object you wouldn't buy in a whole. Participating in financial products like bonds that are managed by BlackRock or others that you as an individual may not can access, but because of blockchain, because of fractional ownership you can get in, this will be enabled. So I think having these use cases, which are already live, will bring more adoption and more users also within this bull run.
So to the layperson watching this, and to any young girls out there who want to invest in crypto, how would they get into crypto? So let's say they know nothing about the marketplace. They don't understand it. I have to say, I've spoken to some of my friends who are not in crypto, and I've tried to encourage them to invest. And they just tell me they don't understand it. It's too scary, because what they don't understand, it must have lots of pitfalls, and therefore stay away from it. So to the layperson, Sarah, what is it why should you invest in crypto, and how easy is it to get into, and what processes do you have to go through?
So what I can recommend also when I think back about my own journey tapping into it, the first element is education. So crypto, when you see this word, this buzzword, you have to decipher it and go step by step through all the terminology. So first, educating. There are a lot of great platforms nowadays out there, from exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, where there are educational tools to get step by step into crypto, into trading, to understand. Also, if you have already in your circle your friends or others who already actively trading or are into the space, reach out to them. Follow also spokesmen and spokeswomen in this industry to understand what is happening. So education is the first part. Once you tapped into it and you created your first wallet, you can use tools like MetaMask or Ledger to secure your assets. Third thing is also to try and test. I would recommend to really start with a small amount. Like even back then I used $10 and played around with it and see how it is evolving, to get a feel with it. Because at the end, crypto is still more volatile than traditional stocks. So it still needs the same due diligence. You have to observe it. But starting with a small amount, you're also willing to lose. I think that's a good start. But yeah, I think education, community, mentorship as well. I think that's very important.
And you talked about setting up a wallet and MetaMasks, etc.
Exactly.
To the layperson, they're like, oh my goodness, what does that mean? So my understanding is the wallet is the bank, your own personal bank in your pocket.
Exactly.
Obviously, don't keep it in your pocket, keep it in your safe.
Exactly.
Because that's your trades are actually on that stick. However, setting all of those things up, is it easy? And are there tutorials online that you could follow to do this, for example?
Yeah, nowadays there are a lot of tutorials. Also, if it comes to setting up your wallet, all you need, you need your internet connection. You can connect it even to your bank account. You can deposit some money and start with that amount to start trading. So there are really different channels. What I would suggest is, again, start with a small amount, select one of the tier one, like the most known exchanges, and take it from there. Like play with a little amount and seek always for advice, either from your direct circle, online, even on social media. There are a lot of also institutions and communities where you can receive this information. So definitely.
How does crypto investment differ from standard FTSE, Dow Jones, stocks and shares? And how should investors go about approaching it differently?
Yeah, I think main differences: 24 hours, 24/7 accessibility, global, and it's more inclusive. And this is another example I would like to share with you. Crypto promotes financial inclusion. If you're, for instance, a farmer in a underdeveloped country and you don't have a bank account, you only need an internet connection. Even you can use cash, and you can already set up also your wallet, and you can do transactions. Like this is, for instance, a use case that has been used also in Latin America, for instance, El Salvador, Argentina, even in Africa, like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, where communities and are more inclusive because they can use crypto. They can hedge against the inflation. So it's more accessible than Dow Jones, than traditional stocks. What it requires more due diligence, because crypto is faster moving. We see you can make very high returns, but you can also make high losses. So it requires that also if you trade and you invest, you need to be adaptive, and you need to define your risk tolerance, because with crypto, it's more agile, more dynamic. So yeah, keeping those aspects in mind, that I would say it's the main difference between.
So there's a lot of fluidity around the market. So why do you personally believe in crypto as a space for investment for the future? What's your personal view?
First of all, it can empower you as an individual. If it comes to wealth management, right? Besides traditional stocks, out of my personal experience, I realized I can do better wealth creation with crypto. Once you really understood it, I was able to finance part of my MBA fees with crypto, with the trading I did before. So even it's super accessible. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, what's your gender, everyone can access the space to create your own wealth. And on top of that, it can really empower you for your business operation. If it doesn't matter if you're in the art space, if you're in real estate, if you're in finance, there are now so many ways how you get access to different types of asset through blockchain. And it's so beautiful ever since I joined the space to see how many users are coming in. Even here in the UAE, we have over 20% crypto wallet owners.
Wow.
So it's really a quarter of the whole country who are into crypto, and
amazing.
And it's many more out there. So it's really giving it a chance to this technology, not only again for besides wealth creation, how you can use it to save cost if you do cross-border payments, if you want to empower a community in a certain village in an evolving country. Like it's beautiful that this technology can empower you as an individual, as a community, as a business, and that's why I personally believe in that. And
do you see a lot of wealth being transferred from old-fashioned fiat, we call it old-fashioned, for those in the crypto world, across to individual crypto wallets? Are you seeing a lot of wealth transfer into the wallet as opposed to the old-fashioned banking system?
There's actually a movement from the institutionals and also individuals coming into the space. So really the numbers when it comes to number of crypto wallets, even last, so 2024, over 35% of asset management firms, family offices actually put their wealth into digital assets. So we see already this move happening, especially in the last 2 years, stronger. So the numbers speak for themselves. There's more trust, more credibility happening. So I would say it's never too late to get into crypto. It's now even the better time. Like technology is even evolving more. So definitely we see a move of.
Well, for those that are already in crypto, we want more people in crypto because we want more trading.
Exactly, more trading, more users for the application.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just segueing, do you have a mentor? Have you been influenced by a mentor? And how have you found a mentor has helped on your professional journey?
I started having mentors since my university time. And it really helped me. It doesn't matter if it's mentorship in terms of career guidance, personal guidance. Even I had like life coaches as well, career coaches. I love to always get this external view on where I am standing right now. And it's good to check in with yourself and an external view. Okay, where do you still have to tap? And what are your current doubts? What are things you need to work on? So mentorship helped me a lot. And even if it comes to also in my industry, sometimes my friends are my mentors.
Of course.
They inspire me, or even family members, or the founding partner of the VC I'm working with. He was my mentor, I must say, also during my transition period going to the space. And
it's about experience. Mentorship is about having traveled that road before and sharing that wisdom and that experience. And how important do you think great leadership is in terms of progressing in your career?
It's so important. Leadership creates culture, belonging. I see it not only in our investment firm, but even for us if we lead initiatives. Even I mentor and lead also some women workshops about crypto. It's very important to give a guidance that this is where you can go and really give this feeling of empowerment. If you as a leader can do it, others can do it too. So I think stepping into this role as a leader and as a role model is so important to drive others and to empower others.
What does a great leader look like to you, especially in the fast-moving world of crypto and finance? What does a great leader look like? What traits do they have?
Agile, very adaptive. They need to be adaptive to deal with these dynamics. also risk takers. Like if I compare it with corporate back then, the leaders I I see now in the crypto world, it doesn't matter if they're young or older. They're taking risk. They always have to reinvent themselves. They have to be innovative. They have to
Educated risk?
Yeah, sometimes educated. Sometimes we are also so uneducated.
Sometimes it's just gut reaction.
Exactly. But being really thinking out of the box and taking the actions, like they're more action takers out in that industry. Yeah.
So, in your personal career, what are some of the biggest challenges and obstacles you've had to overcome, either professionally or personally?
I think for me is I was someone who had imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's still coming back, where you feel like, oh, you're not doing enough, you're self-doubting yourself. And I faced it more when I was younger because I realized back then I was always among the youngest. So I always hid my age. I want to be respected. I want to be seen as for what I deliver. So I learned it's all a mind play. Like your mind is your power, and believing in yourself, doing the good self-talk can empower you. Like self-doubt is really pulling your mind down. So what I really learned is to not overthink, to really focus on what I see as a vision, what I want to achieve, and believing in myself more. So, and yeah, that's, I think, sometimes this moment of self-doubt doesn't matter when I did the industry transition or even when I started public speaking. I was afraid maybe I say the wrong things. How do people see me? But no, you have to trust what you're capable of. You know what you bring to the table. So own your space and believe in yourself, know your value, and everything else will fall into places. This was my biggest learning. Yeah.
I was going to say, how did you push through? But you pushed through by overcoming that internal saboteur by self-love, self-support.
Exactly.
And remembering what you're good at and why you are where you are and why you're actually on a stage speaking. You're on a stage speaking because you earned it.
And it's funny.
Simple as that.
I can tell you a story. When I had my very first keynote, when I switched industries into crypto, I was so nervous. Even before my keynote, I have to go to the restroom to do some breath work. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be, or maybe I hope I don't do a mistake. I hope I won't be challenged. But then I just went out there and I just did the show. It went well. And in my head afterwards, I'm like, wow, I thought so much about it. Like maybe it couldn't get right, wrong. But now I realized
you feel great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, big relief, but you felt great.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also you're sharing the wisdom. And what's not to love about sharing wisdom with people?
Exactly.
So looking back, what is the one thing that you would change, if anything, on your journey to date?
I wish I would have asked more for help and advice, like especially when I was younger, because people are there to help. You just need to ask them. Also, if it comes to finding your mentors, people who can inspire you, people love to help. And this is something I would really encourage also others who are listening. Don't be afraid to ask. If you don't understand something, if you need support, doesn't matter if it's career, if it's personally, if you want to learn something new, go out there, ask for it, because people love to help. This is something I learned the most, yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what's next for Ceras Ventures?
We are still empowering founders and also institutions to get into crypto. So I'm very, I find it's a very promising time to strengthen that path. Furthermore, also on the side, I love to encourage to bring more women, more children into the space through educational workshops, and also, making more impact in emerging markets. My dream is midterm, long term, to also give back to the country of my roots, which is Libya. I would love to explore there the ecosystem. It's very nascent, and to contribute there in terms of technology, that would be something
Amazing.
I see in the long term.
I love that. Amazing. Did you ever have to overcome gender bias throughout your career? So because you're a woman, you can't do it as good as a man could do it? And if yes, how did you get through that?
Definitely, because most of my work experience, I was always in a male-dominated space. Started from chemical, oil and gas, being now into crypto. And sometimes, you get like some stereotypes where people put you in a certain place in terms of your role. But that's a moment where I feel empowered to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I contribute. And again, what I said previously, owning your space. Like I know what is my competency, my expertise. And I know that it shouldn't be overshadowed, or I shouldn't be limited by that. As long as I know who I am, that's...
So you're answering that question, that gender bias, by being very positive in your own gender and saying, this is what I bring.
And being true to myself, yeah. Mm.
And if you had any advice for young girls watching this episode, what would that be?
Don't be afraid to take risks. Like, don't ever think you're not capable or not enough of doing something. If you really have a passion, go for it. If you're curious about something, go for it. And if you need support, ask for it. Like, really, that's a key thing I would say.
Great advice. We end every episode, Sarah, with the same question. So, to you, what does being an Iron Lady mean to Sarah?
An Iron Lady means for me to carry strength and softness at the same time. Being walking with fears, walking with confidence, and trying to go for what an Iron Lady wants to go for. So with each step she walks, each time she is continuously going for her purpose, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. That was amazing. You do an incredible work. Keep on doing what you're doing. We need lots more Sarahs and lots more Iron Ladies. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks to Sarah, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Iron Ladies.